Everything looks beautiful this morning. Well, this is it, darling. My cottage in the country. I hope you're going to like it. I used to spend quite a lot of time down here. Oh, it's cold in here.
Do you think so? Oh, what a darling little cottage.
You take a look around while I fix the heating. I hope you won't mind being buried away in the country.
Do you know I was a country girl? Oh, what a sweet little room. Darling.
Yes?
The door to the garden's stuck. It won't open.
I'll be right with you.
Bunny? Bunny, this door's stuck too. I'm locked in. Bunny? There's a funny sort of hissing noise. It's coming from under the floor. Bunny? I'm frightened.
How about that?
How about what?
Well, you don't think the coffee's doing it. I'm doing it with vibrations.
Fascinating. I'm sure we'll find a use for it.
What have you been doing all day?
Well, I got up, made the coffee.
Oh, come on, Jeff. We haven't had a case for ages.
Well, it's not my fault if the husbands are behaving themselves. Must be the weather. It's cold for the time of the year.
Look at those bills. We're heading for bankruptcy.
Marty, you've worried yourself out of the grave.
Do you always talk to yourself?
Only when I'm alone.
The door was open. I came in.
I'm very glad you did. Coffee?
No, thank you. Are you Randall or Hopkirk?
Randall. My partner's dead.
I'm sorry. My name is Fenwick, Julia Fenwick.
Well, now we've met. Why don't you sit down?
Do you trace missing people, Mr. Randall?
Yes, that's one of our services. What's his name?
Her name is Anne Fenwick. I have a picture. She's my aunt. She left home 12 days ago, and nothing has been heard of her since.
Married?
A widow.
Boyfriends?
Auntie Annie. She disapproves of sex.
Oh, people change their minds. All kinds of people. Have you told the police?
Yes.
What did they say?
It's just routine to them. A missing person. Doesn't even give them a yawn.
What's so special about Auntie Annie?
She's very rich, and I'm her only living relative.
That's special.
That's right. Take your time.
Oh, it's you.
The usual charming welcome. This is Mr. Andrews, the faithful retainer.
What are you doing here?
We'll talk about it inside, shall we?
Who is it?
It's her. She's brought a man with her.
Mr. Randall is going to help us find Auntie.
Why should he be interested?
Because he's an inquiry agent, and Miss Fenwick's paying him to be interested.
Now, nobody disappears without leaving some clue.
Who would you say are Mrs. Fenwick's closest friends?
She has none.
I see. Before she disappeared, did you notice any difference in her manner?
Yes. Yes, I did. There was a change.
Yes. What sort of change?
She seemed more cheerful. She began to care about her looks again. Her clothes, that kind of thing.
Do you think she'd met someone?
Well, if she had, we never saw him. We never came here.
Well, where did she go? What sort of places did she visit?
Never went out.
Never?
Only once a week when she went to Madame Hansker's.
And who's Madame Hansker?
Mr. Randall, please, come in. What can I do to help you?
My aunt, Mrs. Fenwick, comes to your seances sometimes, I believe.
Anne Fenwick? Of course. A charming lady. I know her well. Please. She has had a very bad time these last years. She has never got over the death of her husband. Your Uncle Charles, wasn't he?
When did you last see her?
About 2 weeks ago. Why do you ask?
She walked out of her house 13 days ago and hasn't been seen since.
How very strange.
I suppose many bereaved people come to your seances.
Of course. That's why I'm here.
They meet other people, make friends.
It has been known, yes.
Does my aunt have any close friends?
No, I don't think so. She is very shy. I wish I could help you, Mr. Randall. Perhaps I can.
Oh?
You are an unbeliever. There are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamed of in your philosophy.
Perhaps.
You are not a bit distressed, are you?
Why do you say that?
I have unusual powers of perception. Don't try to deceive me, Mr. Randall.
I thought you'd like one for the road as they're about to close.
I shouldn't really. I told you, I've got a car outside.
Yes, I know. Don't you remember? I said I'd drive you.
You did?
Yes. Gave me your keys.
I'm glad I met you, mister. Oh, it's all right then, isn't it?
Good day, gentlemen.
Check out now, maybe, if you like.
Kind of, you know.
No, take no more.
Stop
Take no more.
It's Kember
In you
Street.
go.
48, Kember Street.
Okay, fine.
Just here's fine. Thanks for the meal.
Well, it made it easier for me to tell you what little progress I've made.
Oh, I didn't expect immediate results. I know how difficult it must be. You will keep looking.
Sure, if you keep paying.
I don't want to give up just yet.
I'll do my best.
I know you will. Goodbye.
Bye, Julia.
Identify the body?
Yes, that's her. Julia Fennick. Why me?
Found a card of yours in a handbag. There wasn't anyone else.
I suppose it was an accident.
No doubt at all. A drunken driver, a salesman with a wife and 2 kids.
What did he have to say?
Nothing. When we'd sobered him up, he couldn't even remember it. Why was she employing you?
Her aunt disappeared the week before last.
Well, you can't make anything out of that.
No. Not even a yawn. Where have you been?
Hanging about.
You're supposed to be helping me.
You don't need me on a missing person case. I'll wait for something difficult.
Difficult. Well, we've lost the client.
Lost? What do you mean, lost?
She's dead.
Oh, well, that's the end of that, then.
That's it.
You want to go on with it?
Well, I've got nothing else to do.
It won't do us any good, you know. There's no one to pay the account.
Aunt Annie might, if we find her.
Where do we start?
Madame Hanska. With a name like that, she's got to be favourite. Mind you, I've got no time for professional mediums bringing back the dead. What a load of rubbish. Sorry, Marty, no thanks.
I'll ignore that. Our missing widow, is she well off?
According to the niece, yeah.
Oh, well, it's obvious then. Some fella's got hold of her and is helping her to spend it.
And why didn't you tell her family where she is?
She's not daft. They're probably getting very brown on a beach somewhere.
Always the way. Those who are happily married are first to go over the top. Can't wait to find another fella.
You believe that, do you?
What?
But can you see my Jeannie rushing into marriage with someone else?
Best thing for her.
Oh, no, it isn't. She wouldn't, anyway.
Come on, Marty, let's face it.
You're dead and she's very much alive.
I know that. She just wouldn't, that's all.
Hold on.
Someone up. Jeannie, why didn't you come right in?
I didn't want to disturb you.
I like you to disturb me.
Oh, I thought you had someone with you.
No.
How are things?
Fine.
Own up, love. You're depressed.
Yes, I suppose I am.
Well, I'm going to put a stop to all that. And for a start, you're coming to dinner with me. It's my duty to Marty. I know he'd want me to cheer you up.
Jeff, it's not cheering up I need, really.
What?
I need something more than that. What's the matter with that glass?
Vibration. It's the traffic outside.
I need something to occupy my mind.
Yeah, quite right. You need something to do. How would you like to go to a seance as a wealthy widow?
I am not having Jeannie going round ogling men.
A widow who wants to contact her late husband.
A case?
Yes, Anne Fenwick, a widow. She's disappeared.
Didn't you hear what I said? No.
Now, we know that she went regularly to seances at a Madame Hansker's. I want to find out if she was picked up there. There's always a wolf waiting around for a nice fat widow. It occurs to me...
Jeff, I'm warning you.
It occurs to me that if you put in an appearance at Madame Hansker's, posing as a rich, romantic widow...
And some gentleman makes a pass, I follow it up and find out whether he's wolf or lamb.
Vibrations.
We have a new face here tonight. Good evening, Mrs. Ramsey.
Good evening.
Tonight, we friends are gathered here for our mutual consolation. We will think of our dear departed ones. Clear your mind of everything else and just think of them. Draw them to us. A message from Cynthia.
Yes.
You have a secret fear. You must be brave, not keep it to yourself. Things are not always as bad as we believe. Do you seek a message, my dear?
Yes.
Whom do you wish to contact?
My husband. John is his name.
I cannot make contact. There is no John.
But Madame Hansker...
No, I cannot make contact.
Well, what happened?
Nothing. There was a message from Cynthia, but it wasn't for us. I think it's a waste of time, Jeff. You'd better call Jeannie off the case.
You know, you mustn't be too disappointed, Mrs. Ramsey. You received no message.
No.
When I first came, I made no contact with my Cynthia. Not for a month or more. You must try again.
Thank you.
No, no, please, don't be discouraged. My name is Elliot.
How do you do?
Madame Hansker's changed my whole life. You must realize that I'd only been married for 8 years when my wife died. It was a sudden, terrible thing. You must be patient. Look, if you're in no hurry, the copper kettle is just around the corner. Could I offer you a little refreshment?
Why, thank you, Mr. Elliot. I should love that.
We won't take the car. It's just a short walk. Oh, there's a table over there. Good evening. Could we have 2 cups of cappuccino, please? Or would you like something else?
Oh, no, that'll be fine. Thank you.
There she is. That's her. That's my Cynthia. It's 3 years now. One day my turn will come. I will live again, and we will be united.
One day you'll find another Cynthia, Mr. Elliot.
Never. But I'm being selfish, only talking of my own unhappiness. You too have lost a dear one. John, wasn't it?
Yes, John.
How long now?
A year.
A whole year. How I do sympathize. Do you have a picture of him?
Not here, no.
Pity. Thank you. He was a handsome man, I'm sure of that.
Yes, he was quite handsome, really.
Yes, I can just see him. Tall, dark.
Oh, no, he wasn't particularly tall. And he was fair. Blonde, in fact.
Oh, and this not-so-tall blonde man, was he an artist?
No.
A musician?
No, nothing so romantic. He was in plastics.
Ah, a captain of industry.
I suppose Johnny could have been called that.
That's right. You talk about him. There's nothing gives more comfort.
Perhaps you're right. Do you know, Mr. Elliot, I really think you're a perfect lamb.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Ramsay.
Well, let me get in.
He's not the bloke.
How do you know?
Jeannie thinks he's harmless.
Well, I don't.
Why not?
Picking her up like that. Who does he think he is? You should have let me go in there.
Well, what's the point? She can't see you. Only I can see you, Marty, and I sometimes wonder why.
Because I'm haunting you. There's something wrong with that fellow. I don't trust him. From now on, I'm going to do the following up on my own.
Thank you. Can I offer you a lift?
Oh, no, thanks. My car's just down the road.
Yes, who is it? Oh, it's you. Yes, I did. Name? John Ramsey. Blonde, medium height. Pet name, Johnny. No, an industrialist in plastics. Exactly a year ago, coronary thrombosis. Canadian. They came to this country when he was forced to retire.
I see a figure. Only vaguely, yet he is clearer now. I see he's blonde. He has blue eyes. He would be about 40, 45. I have a message. A message for Jean. A message from Johnny. Is there a Jean here?
Yes, I'm Jean.
Do you know Johnny?
He was my husband.
He is your husband.
What is the message?
He worries about your financial affairs. He would have made different provision for you. He wishes he could advise you.
What must I do?
Arthur, does that name mean anything to you? He is a friend of Johnny's. Talk to him sometimes. Talk to Arthur.
Arthur whom? What Arthur?
Arthur de Cressy.
Well, where do I find him?
Johnny is fading. Springbank.
Springbank? What's Springbank?
He's gone. I could just understand Springbank. Who else is there here tonight who would like to contact the dear one?
You were right. My nice Mr. Elliot must have passed on all those lies I told him. Madam Hanscom knew all the details of the husband we'd invented.
Good. And did Johnny have any messages for you?
Oh, yes. He's very worried about my finances. But he wants me to get advice from a Mr. Arthur de Cressy.
De Cressy?
Do you know him?
Never heard of him. Did he say where to find him?
Ah, well, Madam Hanscom wasn't very clear about that. All she could tell me was the name and two mysterious words, Springbank. And then before she could hear anymore, everything faded.
Springbank. Springbank. De Cressy. De Cressy. Here we are. De Cressy, Arthur. Springbank House. It's on the embankment.
You're phoning him?
And you're going to make an appointment. It's ringing now.
Hello? Mr. Arthur de Cressy? This is Mrs. Jean Ramsey.
Mrs. Ramsey, sir.
How do you do, Mrs. Ramsey?
It's very kind of you to see me.
Please, Mrs. Ramsey, do sit down. I should be delighted to do anything I can to help you. But I must confess, I'm having some difficulty in placing your husband. John Ramsey, you said?
That's right, yes.
I put on my thinking cap after your call last night, but I'm ashamed to say I can't quite place him. There was a Ramsey in the city.
Oh, no. He was Canadian. We lived in Montreal.
Ah, now that rings a bell.
He had interest in several plastics firms there.
Oh, but of course, now I remember. Forgive me. Would you care for a cigarette?
No, thank you, no.
Johnny Ramsey. Sterling fellow. Dear Johnny, how sad. He couldn't have been much over 40. My dear Mrs. Ramsey, what can I say? What a sad affair, and you so young. But you say that your husband asked you to come to me for advice. It's a whole year now. Forgive me, but you should have come sooner.
I know. But, well, I've been attending seances to try to contact Johnny. Oh, I can see you don't approve.
Well, it seems a very harmless way of wasting one's time.
Oh, but it wasn't a waste of time. I mean, the whole truth is that I did contact Johnny. It was he who told me to come to you.
Now, really, Mrs. Ramsey. Would you like a glass of sherry?
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes. But if there were nothing to it, how would the medium know about you?
Yes. Yes, that's true. Extraordinary. You say the medium told you to come to me?
Well, her spirit guide told me through her.
Remarkable. I must say that makes me wonder. I've never had any time for that sort of thing myself, but there we are. Perhaps I should start thinking again. And now, my dear young lady, you've come to me for advice. What sort of advice could I give you?
Oh, financial advice.
Ah, yes. But your husband was a very capable man. I'm sure he arranged everything soundly.
No, he's worried. Apparently things have changed since he...
Yes, yes, that's true. Very true. But I've no doubt that he named sound executors to handle your affairs.
The Staten Provincial.
Well, there you are then. Excellent bankers. You can't do better than that. Although, of course, these mammoth concerns can't always give their full attention to the individual client. But I'd have to think twice before I disturbed any arrangements that were in their very capable hands.
So you would advise me then to leave things as they are?
Yes. Yes, I would. But if I say yes, I hope it won't prevent us from meeting again. I must confess that I am a lonely person, too. Perhaps we should help each other. Are you free tomorrow afternoon, Mrs. Ramsey?
Yes, I think so.
Well, why don't you come along and take a cup of tea with me? If you wish, you could bring your list of securities with you. Let me check them over. I'm sure I shall be able to reassure you.
Thank you very much, Mr. de Crecy. It's very kind of you. Well, I must go now, but I shall look forward to tomorrow.
Until tomorrow, then. It really was an extraordinary way of finding me, Mrs. Ramsey, but I'm glad you did. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Mrs. Ramsey.
They're all putty in your hands.
Mm-hmm. Somehow I feel she was too cooperative.
Why shouldn't she be?
Nevertheless, I'd like to be sure of her before we go any further.
Well, wish me luck, Jeff.
What for? It's your securities he's after, not you.
Good afternoon.
Mrs. Ramsey, I am most dreadfully sorry, but I can't keep our appointment.
Oh, I have the securities.
A board meeting, you see. It went completely out of my mind. I would have telephoned, but I didn't have your number.
Well, can we make it another time?
Yes, yes, we will. Perhaps you'd telephone me sometime next week. I am most dreadfully sorry.
We thought it was about time we had a word with you, Mr. Randall. Just to point out that Madame Hanska has many devoted friends. We're just two of them. Of course, she knows nothing about this. But we know there's only one way of dealing with your type. Well, don't restrain yourself. You can shout as loud as you like. You ready to talk? Well, listen. In future, you'll stay away from Madame Hanska. We don't want to see any more of you.
You must not be concerned for her. She is happy, and she wants you to be happy too. There's another message. A message for someone here. Concentrate on him. Think of him. Bring him to us. Bring him into our circle. We are waiting. Can you hear us?
Yes. Yes, I can hear you. Speak. I can hear you now.
Who? What are you?
A departed spirit. No, Madame Hanska. They can neither see nor hear me. Ask them to go, please. You called me back. Get shut of them.
The séance is over. Will you all please leave? Now.
Get a move on.
Close the door.
That's better. Now we can talk.
Are you really a ghost?
In the flesh, if you see what I mean.
And I brought you back?
All by yourself. Well done.
Success. After all these years. Why did I have to wait till now?
Oh, I think your double dealing has had a lot to do with that.
Double dealing?
Yes. This De Cressy man. No self-respecting spirit would want to be tied up in a thing like that.
Yes, I can see it was wrong.
Wrong? It was against all the rules.
But you came.
To save you, dear lady. I don't want to see you wasting your talents.
Yes, my talents. Can I ever make amends?
Oh, I think so. But you must tell me everything.
I will. Believe me, I will.
I know you will. Mrs. Fenwick came to see you. Do you remember her?
Well, that's it. We're off.
It worked?
Perfectly. It made her day. She's always thought of herself as a fake. Can you imagine how she felt when she saw me?
Fantastic.
Actually, her aura was rather good. I had no trouble materializing.
Congratulations.
She talked her head off. She gets a commission from De Cressy for every new account she introduces.
Widow Fenwick?
Yes, she was one of them.
Where did she get to?
Well, that's the trouble. Madame Hanska doesn't know. You'll have to find that out for yourself.
Get me a whiskey, Rawlings.
Cheers. The name's Randall.
Rawlings!
He's taking a little nap. I want some information.
I'll help you if I can.
What's become of the widow lady? Anne Fenwick.
Fenwick. Anne Fenwick. I never heard of her.
It's very convincing. But Madame Hanska has told all.
Where is this Mrs. Fenwick?
Mrs. Fenwick, yes.
You do know her?
Yes, I do.
And you have helped her with her finances?
Yes. It's an unconventional way of getting business, but she'll never regret it.
I'm delighted to hear it. But where is she?
I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to tell you.
Oh?
Mrs. Fenwick has asked that her present address be kept a secret.
She should have told her family.
Yes, she should. But she happens to be very shy and retiring. She couldn't bear the thought of the recrimination, so she decided to let them find out for themselves. And now, my dear Mr. Randall, I hope you're satisfied.
I will be when I've met Mrs. Fenwick.
I'm afraid you can't. I promised to protect her privacy.
Well, in that case, I shall have to call the police.
No. Not that it matters, but this sort of thing could mean publicity. And I have my reputation to consider.
Oh, I quite understand.
Well, let's meet Mrs. Fenwick, shall we?
It's a long drive.
Then we'd better get started. Right away.
Is this where Mrs. Fenwick lives now?
Yes. Oh, you can save all your questions for her, Mr. Randall. Beautiful country around here, isn't it? Of course, I'm a town man myself. I'd hate to be buried away in the country. But she loves it. Mrs. Fenwick? Oh, she must be out in the back somewhere. Straight on through the garden door.
Right in it, Jeff. You walked right into it.
Well, just don't sit there.
I'm thinking.
What's that?
It's gas, and it's coming from under the floor.
Solid.
There must be some way to save you.
Well, you'd better think of something quickly. He's making funeral arrangements already.
There is one thing I can do.
What's that?
Do you remember the coffee cup I rattled in the office?
Fascinating.
I'm sure we'll find a use for it. Light the lamp.
With all this gas about?
There isn't enough yet, and by the time there is, you'll be in the chest.
I hope you know what you're doing.
Are you sure this is going to work? If it doesn't, welcome to the club. If you hear a big bang, it'll be me. It worked. Jeff, it worked. It's all right, Jeff. You can come out now. Jeff! Jeff?
What can I say, Marty? You got any aspirins?
Look out. Here comes the landlord.
I want a word with him. I'm here. Don't run away up. There's some more digging to do. Mrs. Fenwick is out there, I take it. Thanks again, Marty. You just wouldn't understand.